Hello my dear girls, we are going to see today what is known as the modern theory of cost. Okay, so as you know, we have discussed the traditional U-shaped theory of cost and which has got a U-shape, right? But then this U-shaped cost curves are criticized, questioned by various writers, and the major criticism comes from George Stigler in 1939. Now, according to George Stigler, he says that the short-run average variable cost has a flat stretch over a range of output. When you say flat stretch means it has got somewhat like an L shape rather than a U shape. Okay, so let us see this kind of a shape of cost curves have attracted attention of different economists. Okay, now let us see what are the shapes of cost curves in the short run cost curves in the modern theory. So let us discuss first about the average fixed cost, okay, in the short run. So what is average fixed cost? Just like we have already defined, average fixed cost are the cost of indirect factors, that is the cost of physical and personal organization of the firm, and this includes various costs like salaries and other expenses of the administrative staff, and salaries of staff involved directly in the production but paid on a fixed term basis, and then wear and tear of machinery, and this is standard, that's called standard depreciation allowances, and then the expenses of maintenance of the buildings, and expenses for the maintenance of land on which the plant is installed and operated. Okay, so the businessman, now what will the businessman will do in order to see what's the shape of the cost, average fixed cost curve. So what he does is, this is very important, the businessman will start planning with a figure for the level of output which he anticipates selling. So the first thing what he does is that he anticipates a certain level of selling of his output first. Okay, that is his first planning. And then what he will do, then he will choose a size of plant. So first is he anticipates the level of output which he can sell, and then he choose the size of plant. Size of plant means the size of that particular business venture. Okay, size of plant, and that will allow him to produce this level of output, and not only this level of output more efficiently, but also with some flexibility, which means he can also increase the output as he wants when the demand comes. Okay, that's what he does. So the plant will have a larger capacity, larger than the expected average level of sales. We have already seen that he anticipates what level of output he can sell, but he builds the plant in such a way that he can this plant can sell a larger level of the expected average sales which he already anticipates. Okay, anticipated. Because so why then that is why, because the businessman wants to have some reserve capacity. So how he can sell more than the average expected average level of sales, because he has got also in building the plant some reserve capacity. So because of that reserve capacity and his planning the output first, how much he can sell, the average fixed cost looks like this. So it has an upper absolute limit is here, and then also it has got also a lower limit also is there. Okay, a lower limit here. So we can say, so this is the average fixed cost which has got an absolute limit in the short run expansion, that is the boundary M, and firm also has a small unit machinery which has sets a limit to expansion in this. So a small unit of machinery here, and also an absolute limit for the expansion of his output is till here. Okay, so M is the absolute limit to the short run expansion of the output, and N is the smaller unit machinery which sets a limit to the expansion. Okay. Now, even then, this however is not an absolute boundary, because the firm can increase its output in the short run. That means until the absolute limit M is encountered. That means this may not be the real absolute boundary. Even now, because of he has got some reserve capacity, he can increase the output until M is encountered, either by paying overtime to direct labor for working longer hours, or by buying some additional small unit type of machinery. Okay, and in this case, the AFC curve will shift upward and starts falling again, as shown in the line CD. Okay, so even now we can also expand his output even then from this absolute boundary in the short run. Okay, by how does he do that? By paying overtime to direct labor for working longer hours. Okay, so that is the dotted line, by paying overtime to the overtime to direct laborers for working longer hours, or by buying some additional unit type of machinery. So this is how the average fixed cost looks like in the modern theory of cost. So you can see, so very important to explain. It sets an absolute limit, and it has also got a lower limit, which with a small unit of machinery, which sets a limit to the expansion. So till here he can produce, he can also expand his output till M, and even then, even after M also he can try to produce much more than that by paying overtime to the direct laborers, or by buying additional small units of machinery. So in that case, what will happen? The AFC will shift from AB to CD. This boundary, it will shift from AB to CD. Okay. So this is how the average fixed cost in the modern microeconomic theory looks like. Okay. Now next thing is, what's the shape of the average variable cost? You can see well here, the average variable cost has got an L shape. So this is a short run average variable cost. From till A it is falling, and then it has got a flat stretch over a wide range of output, that is Q1 to Q2. Okay, and that is known as the reserve capacity, which he builds for various reasons. And then after this boundary, after this Q2 level of output, you see average variable cost is rising. Similarly, you will see the short run marginal cost also goes like this, and then it has got a reserve capacity, it remains constant, and then when short run average cost curve increases, SMC also start increasing. So let us see the as you know, as in the traditional theory, the average variable cost of modern microeconomics include the cost of direct labor, which varies with output, raw materials, running expenses of machinery. So the short run average variable cost in modern theory has got a saucer shape. Saucer shape. So you can see it look like a saucer, and that is, it is broadly U-shaped, not U-shaped, broadly U-shaped, but has a flat stretch over a range of output. It is a flat stretch over a range of output. What's the range of output from Q1 to Q2? SAVC remains the same. That means a flat stretch over a range of output. Now, flat stretch corresponds to built-in plant reserve capacity. So already it's written here. It is because of the built-in plant reserve capacity. So over this stretch, SAVC is equal to MC. So this stretch SAVC is also equal to MC, both being constant per unit of time. So SMC also remains constant at this reserve capacity over this range of output. To the left of the flat structure, MC lies below SAVC. To the right of the flat structure, MC lies above SAVC. Okay. And the falling part of SAVC shows the reduction in cost due to better utilization of the fixed factor and the consequent increase in the skills and productivity of the variable factor, that is a labor. With the better skills, the waste in raw materials are also being reduced and a better utilization of the whole plant is reached. Now that's about the falling part of MC and SAVC. And you will see here the increasing part of SAVC reflects a reduction in labor productivity. So once after the flat stretch of output, what will happen? There's a reduction in the labor productivity due to longer hours of work and the increase in cost of labor due to the overtime payment. Okay, the waste in materials and the more frequent breakdown of machinery as the firm operates with the overtime with more shifts, which we have already seen there. Okay, in the AFC we have seen how whenever there is a even absolute limit it can cross. That means average fixed cost curve will shift. Okay, so in the same way the AFC SAVC also will start increasing that way. So innovation of modern microeconomics in this field is the theoretical establishment of the short-run SAVC with a flat stretch over a certain range of output. Okay, so we have seen now this is the shape of the short-run average fixed cost and this is the shape of the short-run average variable cost, which has got a saucer shape. And what is the shape of MC also we have seen, and why SAVC and MC is falling in the beginning and why SMC and SAVC increasing after this stretch of output. Okay, now the next question is what is the why reserve capacity? So we have already seen the firm is building reserve capacity, right? So why there is reserve capacity, that's what we are going to see now. So the businessmen, there are various reasons for which the firm built in reserve capacity. So what are those reserve capacity? Why firms build reserve capacity? Because the first reason is businessman will want to be able to meet seasonal and cyclical fluctuations in his demand. You see? So, reserve capacity is what? The capacity in which the firms can produce a larger range of output. So, the capacity, the firm is built in such a way that it has got a flat stretch over a range of output wherein SAVC and SMC remains constant. Now, the reason for this is the businessmen will want to face seasonal and cyclical fluctuations. So another reason is reserve capacity will give the businessmen greater flexibility for repairs of broken down machinery without disrupting the smooth flow of the production process. So in order to what is that called? Repair the broken down machinery without disrupting the production. That's the second reason. And the third reason is all businessmen hope for growth, right? So in view of anticipated increase in demand, the entrepreneurs build some reserve capacity. So growth comes when when the demand increases, the firm wants to produce more. So firm builds a capacity so that it increases, it can produce more in tune with the demand of the output. Now technology, next is technology usually makes it necessary to build into the plant some reserve capacity. So certain type of technology requires that the plant should have some reserve capacity. So some basic types of machinery may not be technically fully employed when combined with other small types of machines in certain numbers, more of which may not be required given the specific size of a chosen plant. Okay, now we can see that so now I can tell an example of this is our own library. Okay, so library now it is built in such a way it has got some reserve capacity in terms of machinery, because machinery means we are making the library into digitalized library, so that thinking in future that it can accommodate the demand of the people of this locality and from everywhere for research and things like that. So it has, the library building has to be big, okay, with some reserve capacity. So that is an example of technology makes it necessary to build plant to some reserve capacity, okay. And finally we will see there will be some reserve capacity on the organizational and administrative level. Administrative staff will be hired at such numbers as to allow some increase in the operation of the firm. So there is a reserve capacity for the organizational and administrative level, because at any time when the demand increases, the more administrative staff can be hired, and so for the operation of the firm in order to meet the demand. Okay. So now that is the reasons for reserve capacity. Now we will see what is the average total cost. As you know, average total cost is the sum of AFC and AVC. So this is how we write the average total cost. Curve falls continuously after a level. This is okay. This is the average total cost SAC falls continuously up to the level of output Q. So SAVC has a flat stretch over a range of output. Till that over the flat stretch, you will see the average total cost goes on declining, and then after that reserve capacity range is reached, it starts increasing. Okay, this is what is the shape of ATC in the modern cost theory. Now we shall see long run cost. The long run cost in the modern microeconomic theory, the L-shaped scale curve. So when you see the short run is actually short run cost curves are also shaped especially SAVC, whereas in the long run you will see an L-shaped scale curve. So what you see is this is because of the production cost and managerial cost. All costs are variable in the long run. They give rise to long run cost curves, which is roughly L-shaped. So the production costs may fall continuously with increases in the output. At very large scales of output, the managerial costs may rise. So, but the fall in the production cost more than offset the increase in the managerial cost, so that total LAC, the long run average cost falls with the increases in its scale. Okay. Now, what is this production cost? Production cost, what's the behavior of the production cost? So the production cost fall steeply. So I already told you why that is an L-shaped. Long run cost curves are L-shaped because the production cost falls more than the managerial cost. So that is why the production cost falls steeply to begin with, and then gradually as the scale of production increases, it falls steeply to begin with and then gradually. So production cost falls more steeply first, and then slowly it falls. Then the L shape of production cost curve is explained by technical economies of large scale production. So L shape is explained by the economies of large scale production. So initially these economies are substantial, but rather a certain level of output is reached, or most of these economies are attained, and the firm is said to have reached the minimum optimal scale given the technology of the industry. Now, if new techniques are invented for larger scales of output, they must be cheaper to operate. But when the existing known techniques, some economies can always be achieved at a larger output. So production cost is because of the technologies or techniques that are invented, new invented technologies can produce larger scales of output with a cheaper cost. And that is why production cost falls steeply at first and then gradually it falls, and it has got also an L-shaped. Okay. Now, economies. Now, what is managerial cost? So, managerial cost in the modern management science, for each plant size, there is a corresponding organizational administrative setup appropriate for smooth operating of that plant. So, in the modern management science, each plant size, there is a corresponding organizational administrative setup, which means for each plant size, there's a special organization and administrative setup for what? In order to function it more smoothly in operating of the plant. Then, sorry. 1 minute. So what you can see here, so we have seen all this, and we are with managerial. Okay. Now there are various levels of management. So each plant has got a separate administrative setup. That's why it is known as managerial cost. And there are various levels of management with each with its appropriate kinds of management techniques. So it's like, practicing division of labor, various levels of management, so that there are different layers, and these layers functions very efficiently, and that is why the cost curve is L-shaped. Okay. Now, each management technique is applicable to a range of output. So, there are different levels of management, and each levels of management technique is applicable to a different level, to a range of output. There are small scale as well as large scale operational organizational techniques. The cost of different techniques of management first fall up to a certain plant size. At very large scales of output, managerial cost may rise, but very slowly. So what happens, in the modern theory, there are what is known as a production cost and also managerial cost. The production cost also has got an L shape because production cost falls steeply first and then gradually it falls, which means production cost is not very great because of the new techniques which are invented, which can produce larger scales of output with a cheaper cost. But then managerial cost also is there functioning, and because of the both production and managerial cost, what is a modern management science tells that, and each plant size has got an corresponding organizational and administrative setup, and for the smooth operating of that plant. So there are different levels of management, and each levels of management there is a kind of management technique, and each management technique is applicable to a range of output. So there are small scale as well as large scale organizational techniques. The cost of different techniques of management will fall up to a certain plant size, and at very large scales of output, the managerial cost will increase but very slowly. So production cost falls smoothly at very large scales, while managerial costs may rise only slowly at a very large scales. So modern theory seems to accept that the fall in technical cost more than offset the probable rise of managerial cost, so that a long run average cost curve falls smoothly and remains constant at a very large scales of output. So remember girls, the long run average cost curve is L-shaped. The short run average cost curve is average, especially short run average variable cost is a saucer shaped. Okay. So, and the reasons we have seen is because of the reserve capacity. Because of the reserve capacity. So the questions will be asked, explain the modern theory of cost. That is a short essay, and also it can be asked as a long essay also. So you have to write up to here, you have to write the long run average cost curve and the short run average cost curves we have discussed, and then the production cost and managerial cost, which makes the long run average cost curve is a L-shaped. Okay, so that's how your cost curve we have already finished discussing. So wish you all the best. I hope you will do justice to the last module. I will give you some questions, probable questions that can be asked. Reserve capacity can be asked as a small short answer type question.